Procrastination continues to be one of the largest enemies of our productivity, and if we don't find effective ways to break this habit, it has the potential to completely derail our path towards success. This brings me to our first strategy for overcoming chronic procrastination from my best-selling book on time management, Eat That Frog. And it is this: if you have to eat more than one live frog, that's what I like to call a daunting project or task, a live frog, then you should eat the ugliest frog first, and you should do it right away without any delay. It doesn't do you any good to stare at the ugly live frog in front of you, this big task, if you simply resolve to take action and get it over with. Your entire life will be uninhibited by the daunting tasks that once prevented you from moving forward. It's important to remember that you cannot manage time. Time exists completely out of our control. So you can't manage time. What you can do is to manage your life. Time management really is just life management. It is the management of the sequence of events in your life. It's the ability to choose what you do first, what you do second, and what you do later, if at all. And in this ability to choose lies your entire life. When you choose the most important thing, and you choose to do that first, and you choose to do that rather than anything else, you immediately put your life onto the fast track. In fact, you can actually double your productivity, performance, and output in one day simply by changing your order of choices in the way that you use your time. Now let's talk about the best way to use our time in order to move us closer to our goals. The way to do this is by developing a single-minded focus on the things you need to do that will have the most important and beneficial impact on your life right now. Whenever you're faced with a task, you must first ask yourself, what are the consequences of doing or not doing this? And if the consequences of not doing something are irrelevant, then don't do it. And do the things that have serious, immediate consequences. So here's what you should do each morning to set yourself up for success and to determine which tasks you need to get started on right away to make a sizable difference in your life. Plan each day in advance. Take time each morning to address your major goals and then write out a list of things you need to do that day in order to get closer to those goals. Set priorities on each item so you don't skip your most important tasks. And then get to it. When you jump right into the workday and start on something really important right away, the level at which you work for the rest of the day will be increased.
Do this every day for 21 days until it becomes a habit. With this discipline, you will literally double your productivity in less than a month. Starting with your most difficult job or piece of the job gives you a jump start on the day. As a result, you'll be more energized and productive from then on. On the days when you launch immediately into your top job, you will feel better about yourself and your work than on any other day. You will personally feel more powerful, more effective, more in control, and more in charge of your life than at any other time. Develop the habit of doing the most difficult task first, and you'll never look back. You will become one of the most productive people of your generation.
The next strategy is simply this: change your thinking. I've said this before over and over to millions of people around the world because the truth is, if you change your thinking, you'll change your life. Here's a trick for pulling yourself away from the temptation to procrastinate. Just say the words, do it now, do it now, do it now. These magic words will motivate you and push you to get started. When you repeat these words often enough, the message will get pushed deep into your subconscious and act as a trigger for getting things done right away. If you spend all of your time thinking about how your habit of chronic procrastination gets in the way of all of your goals and motivation and dreams, then your subconscious mind will accept that as the truth, and that's how your life will continue to be. If instead you spend your time thinking about how wonderful you are at getting difficult and important tasks done right away, and how incredibly organized you are with your time, then your subconscious mind will start to accept that as the truth, and you will start doing more of those things that overcome procrastination and get more things done faster. The next strategy is
break it down. No matter what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's writing a book or climbing a mountain or painting a house, the key to achievement is your ability to break down the task into manageable pieces and knock them off one at a time.
There's an old saying that by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. One of the best ways to overcome procrastination is for you to get your mind off the huge task in front of you and focus on a single action that you can take. Confucius once wrote, "A journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step." This is a great strategy for overcoming procrastination and getting more things done faster. You can accomplish the biggest task in your life by disciplining yourself to take it just one step at a time. Your job is to go as far as you can see. You will then see far enough to go further. To accomplish a great task, you must step out in faith and have complete confidence that your next step will soon become clear to you. Remember the wonderful advice, leap and the net will appear. A great life or a great career is built by performing one task at a time, quickly and well, and then going on to the next task. Financial independence is achieved by saving a little money every single month, year after year. Health and fitness are accomplished by just eating a little less and exercising a little more day after day and month after month. You can overcome procrastination and accomplish extraordinary things by just taking the first step, by getting started towards your goal, and then by taking it one step at a time.
Suppose I were to ask you if you could write a 400-page novel. If you're like most people, that would be an impossible task. As soon as I ask you that question, a picture appears in your mind of a big fat book lying on a coffee table, hundreds and hundreds of words covering every page. Yes, somebody must have written the book that you see in your mind's eye, but that person surely wasn't you. But suppose I asked you a different question. Suppose I ask if you can write a page and a quarter a day for 1 year. Do you think you could do it? Now the task is starting to seem more manageable. We're breaking down the 400-page book into bite-sized pieces. Do you think you can do it? One day at a time. You've probably heard that phrase. That's what we're doing here. We're breaking the time required for a major task down into one-day segments. And we're breaking the work involved in writing a 400-page book down into page and a quarter increments. Keep this up for 1 year, and you'll write the book. Discipline yourself to look neither forward nor backward, and you can accomplish things you never thought you could possibly do. One of the beauties of this technique is the fact that you can really take it to the extremes if you have to. If writing a page and a quarter during 1 day still seems too much for you, break it down even more. Try to write 3 sentences in the next hour. Don't look any further ahead than that. Come up with a way of looking at the task that finally seems manageable.
Well, the fourth key to overcoming procrastination is to use procrastination in this way. Use what we call creative procrastination.
Creative procrastination is one of the most effective of all personal performance techniques. It can change your life. The fact is that you can't do everything that you have to do. You have to procrastinate on something. The difference between high performers and low performers is largely determined by what they choose to procrastinate on. Since you must procrastinate anyway, decide today to procrastinate on low-value activities. Decide to procrastinate, outsource, delegate, and eliminate those activities that don't make much of a contribution to your life in any case. Here's a key point. To set proper priorities, you must set posteriorities as well. A priority is something that you do more of and sooner, while a posteriority is something that you do less of and later, if at all. Here's a rule. You can get your time and your life under control only to the degree to which you discontinue lower value activities. One of the most powerful of all words in time management is the word no. Say no to anything that is not a high value use of your time and your life. Say it early and say it often. The fact is that you have no spare time. Creative procrastination is the act of thoughtfully and deliberately deciding upon the exact things you are not going to do right now, if ever. Here's an exercise for you. Practice zero-based thinking in every part of your life. Ask yourself continually, if I was not doing this already, knowing what I now know, would I get into it again today? Examine each of your personal and work activities and evaluate it based on your situation today. If it is something that you would not start up again today, knowing what you now know, it is a prime candidate for abandonment or creative procrastination.
Now, the fifth key is
Write it down. In other words, you're going to keep a diary of your activities, and you're going to be amazed by the distractions, detours, and downright wastes of time that you come up with during the course of a day. All of these get in the way of achieving your goals. For many people, it's almost like they planned it that way, and maybe at some unconscious level, they did. The great thing about keeping a time diary is that it brings all this out in the open. It forces you to see what you're actually doing and what you're not doing. The time diary doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Just buy a little spiral notebook that you can easily carry in your pocket. When you go to lunch, when you drive across town, when you go to the dry cleaners, when you spend some time shooting the breeze at the copy machine, make a quick note of the time you began the activity and the time it ended. Try to make this notation as soon as possible, but if it's inconvenient to do it immediately, you can do it later. But you should make an entry in your time diary at least once every 30 minutes. And you should keep this up for at least a week. What else do you have to do to gain the benefits of this extremely powerful productivity technique? Nothing. You don't have to do anything else at all. It's just a process for making yourself aware of how you actually spend your time. You will naturally and effortlessly begin to reorganize your life. When you're forced to write down the fact that you hung out at the coffee machine for 15 minutes today, you'll think twice about doing that again tomorrow. When you've got to put it in writing that you worked on an important project for 30 minutes today and then took a break to read the newspaper, you'll persevere a little longer on the project tomorrow and forget about the newspaper. Just try keeping a time diary for 1 week, and you'll see how it can revolutionize your ability to focus and achieve your goals. This is how you put an end to procrastination.
Now, the seventh key to overcoming procrastination is to establish a reward structure for yourself, a reward schedule. Now, a reward schedule we've talked about before just simply says this, is if you have jobs that you procrastinate on, give yourself an organized reward for each thing that you're going to do. When we talk to salespeople, for instance, we say you have to make a certain number of prospecting calls. Well, if you like coffee, do this. Instead of giving yourself a cup of coffee just when you come in, give yourself a cup of coffee after you've made 5 calls. Do you like cookies? Well, break up a cookie and give yourself a piece of cookie. Train yourself with rewards and then be very strict with yourself. This is where you see what you're made of. It's one thing to say I'm going to give myself a reward only after I have done it, but then can you stick to it? Because if you can stick to it, not only is it a mark of character, but it will help snap this habit of procrastination. Now, number 8 is develop a sense of urgency. We said earlier that senior executive officers were asked what characteristics would most put a person on the fast track. And they said the first one was to separate the relevant from the irrelevant, to do what is important, to set priorities. The second is to get on with the job and do it fast. Develop a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency is possessed by less than 2% of the population. And you know something? Just about everybody works for them. A sense of urgency means that when the job comes up, you get going. You do it now. Do it now. Do it now. You say to yourself over and over again, I do it now, do it now, do it now. A sense of urgency is one of the rarest of all qualities, but because today the biggest problem that we have is what is called time poverty. In other words, everybody feels short of time. We have more money than time in many respects. So when a person does things for us fast, gets back to us fast, calls us fast, helps us fast, we consider that person to be more capable, more competent, more reliable, more dependable, smarter, more better performer, and everything. So therefore, when your boss asks you, when your customers ask you, when important people to you ask you for things, do it quickly. And this brings us to number 9. Once you get started towards your job, don't stop. Once you get launched, don't stop. Discipline yourself, and here's where the key comes in. Discipline yourself to stay at it. Keep your head down. Keep saying, back to work, back to work, back to work. Get yourself in the physiology, the body language of high performance. But once you get started, don't stop. Just keep on going, keep on going. Number 10, many people are motivated to do things as a result of fear. So therefore, ask yourself, what are the negative consequences of not doing this job and getting this job done on time? What are the negative consequences? When you think very clearly about what might likely happen to you if you don't do the job well, often it will motivate you toward doing the job. Now, other people, number 15, are motivated by desire. How do you motivate yourself by desire? Well, you visualize the job as complete. Visualize the job as 100% complete, and think of all the positive benefits that will accrue to you by doing the job and doing the job well. Best technique, use them both. Think what might happen if you don't get it done. Think what might happen when you do get it done. And the combination of those two will often impel you forward. Number 16, key, is designate a particular time to work. Say, look, I am going to work for 15 minutes on this task from 8 a.m. to 8:15. And just give yourself a specific time. Now, you may give yourself 30 minutes or 90 minutes, but instead of worrying about getting a whole job done, just to designate a specific time and say, after this, I'll go on to something else. Often this will break the back of the procrastination and will launch you into it. Number 17 to overcoming procrastination is to pick one area where procrastination is hurting you. Now, this is important. One of the major reasons why people fail in developing new habits is when they start with a habit, they're usually highly motivated, but then the hard work begins and their motivation drops and they quit. What you need to do is, instead of trying to start a whole lot of things, do just one thing. Pick one area where procrastination is hurting you. It's holding back your career, and make the decision that you're going to defeat procrastination in that area. Just like a military principle, select your enemy, procrastination, select the area or your choice of terrain and go to work to hammer procrastination in this particular area. The wonderful thing is this, is that overcoming procrastination in one area has a halo effect and enables you to begin overcoming procrastination in other areas. Whereas if you try to beat procrastination in your whole life, what will happen is you'll hit this dip. It's called the motivation dip. You'll hit this dip, and what will happen is you won't overcome procrastination anywhere. So start off by picking one area where it's hurting you the most, and go to work. If it takes a day, a week, a month, affirm, visualize, plan, organize, use all of these ideas, but kill procrastination where it seems to be holding you back. And this brings us to number 18. A good plan, very carefully worked out in detail and in writing, is one of the most powerful tools of all to defeat procrastination. So sitting down and thinking through your goals very clearly, planning your goals, planning your activities, setting priorities, working out a schedule, working out a project management sheet, and putting it in writing is a very powerful way to launch or drop kick you into doing the job. Number 19 are rationalization. Rationalization always accompanies procrastination. Rationalization is making excuses for not doing what we know we should do. So don't allow yourself to make excuses, because it leads to insanity. All right, and finally, number 20 is to set deadlines. Deadlines are a powerful way to overcome procrastination. Is set a very clear deadline for yourself, promise yourself, and promise other people that you're going to have the job done by that time. Encourage those other people to check on you. Keep them informed. Tell them how it's going. And insist to them it'll be done. And sometimes promising others will help you break the procrastination habit and put you on to the high road to success.